Totorina, with the help of others, tried to seize power from other mafia organizations. He ordered his idiots to kill the police and not allow anyone from the government to infiltrate the mafia. These people must be killed if they want to infiltrate. The heroin business changed among families. Bloody wars broke out between families. These wars were between two factions. One of Totorina's newly established factions was the Corleonesi. He also received help from several other families. And one was the rich, traditional mafia families who could no longer make as much money as before. In the 1970s, many members of these traditional and wealthy families were murdered. But this was just the beginning with the assassination of Stefano Bontate, the head of the Bonari family, the richest family in Sicily. And other members were killed. These assassinations were carried out on the orders of Totorina. Anyone who had direct or indirect contact with Totorina's enemies was killed. Innocent people were also killed. In just 12 months, 900 people were killed by mafia wars at the behest of Totorina. Totorina ordered his enemies to be assassinated in America and then he ordered the killing of people of his own who were not very honest with him. He then approached Italian authorities, from anti-mafia reporters to police and judges, all of whom were killed on Totorina's orders. In 1983, Italian government officials held a series of meetings with Palermo judges in order to find a solution to destroy the mafia. A bold idea was put forward by a judge named Rocco Cinici. He said that anyone who walks in this square should give up his life. The number of agents must be increased and they must work imperceptibly. Unfortunately, Cinici was not old enough to observe the process, because he was assassinated by Totorina idiots some time later. The Italian government issued a public statement saying that anyone who took action or helped to arrest the Corleonesi family would be fully supported by the Italian government. There were people in the Corleonesi family who felt their lives were in danger, so this theory worked. And many took refuge in the Italian government and police. The police got good information and Tommaso Busita cooperated with the police. This was the first time that a mafia boss decided to cooperate with the police. Within 45 days, he provided information to police that they had not been able to obtain for decades. During this time Totorina and her men were still killing their enemies. At the same time, anti-mafia groups were being formed. One of these anti-mafia groups from the recently promoted period was judges Giovanni Falcon and Paolo Borsellino. 1984 was a very sensitive year. Totorina and her men were at the height of their power, and the Italian police were equipping their forces. A mafia stepfather was also cooperating with the police. And two new judges had entered the battlefield. Falcon was able to classify thousands of official cases against the mafia. They were no longer unknown, most of whom had been identified. At the same time in New York, an operation was carried out to poison the pizza connection against the mafia. US and Italian police worked together to stop the movement of the largest shipment of narcotics. In Italy, 500 people were arrested for collaborating with the mafia. These 500 people went to court and a trial was held in Palermo for these people. The trial lasted 22 months, and 475 of them were eventually sentenced to 2,500 years in prison. But the main characters and godfathers were still free. During this time, Falcon gained access to other connections from the mafia in the United States. The killings escalated after a heavy court ruling. From office workers to businessmen and anyone who worked with the police, Totorina assassinated them all. A strange thing happened after these killings. It was the court that found 100 mafia members innocent and released them. Falcon was transferred to Rome in 1991 because he was in danger in Palermo. He once survived an assassination attempt. Many thought Falcon had given up the fight, but in Rome he continued his struggle from a new faction. The first thing he did was to persuade the Italian judiciary to return the 100 people who had been released to prison. This happened a year later, and his next step was to mobilize all the forces in central Italy in Rome against the Corleonesi family. And he said everyone should have a goal: fight the mafia. Conditions became very difficult for Totorina and the Corleonesi family, and all the mafia prisoners decided to cooperate with the police. These measures were costly for Falcon. In May 1992, more than 400 kilograms of explosives exploded on the highway between Palermo Airport and the city. 2 cars were completely destroyed. Falcon was killed in the crash along with his wife and 3 police officers. 57 days later, another horrific massacre took place. Several people died as a result of the explosions. The bodies of Judge Borsellino and 5 police officers were found in the bodies. The Italian people recognized these 2 judges as national heroes. Both were assassinated by Totorina. After these events, in addition to the Italian authorities and the police, people all over Italy also called for an end to the mafia in Italy. The people also staged uprisings and demanded to destroy the mafia in Italy forever. A few weeks later, an Italian court upheld the heaviest punishment for the mafia. Mafia prisoners were not allowed to use any facilities. For this reason, a large number of mafias decided to cooperate with the police. One of the people closest to Totorina was a man named Di Maggio, who went to the police station and wrote down an address. The police went to that address. When the door of the villa was opened, police moved towards the cars leaving and arrested the people inside the car. Totorina was arrested after 23 years. After a while, other godparents were arrested. Totorina was also dangerous in prison. He issued many death sentences for various people from prison. One of them was a 13-year-old boy. But gradually his power diminished and the power of the Sicilian mafia diminished. The Sicilian mafia still exists, but it does not have the power of the Totorina era. Matteo Messina Denaro is currently the head of the Italian mafia. But comparing Totorina and this person is like a joke. Totorina died of cancer in 2017 at the age of 87 and was buried in her hometown.